Special Counsel Robert Mueller sounding the alarm, if you will, that Russia is still actively trying to undermine our country's democracy. Page 1 of Mueller's report made that clear. Quote, the Russian government interfered in the 2016 presidential election in sweeping and systematic fashion. And as we've learned, the Trump campaign welcomed the help by the Russians. It is something Mueller says he worries could be the new normal for our political campaigns here.
My concern is, have we established a new normal from this past campaign that is going to apply to future campaigns so that if any one of us running for the U.S. House, any candidate for the U.S. Senate, any candidate for the presidency of the United States, aware that a hostile foreign power is trying to influence an election, has no duty to report that to the FBI or other authorities?
Well, I hope.
Go ahead.
I hope this is not the new normal, but I fear it is.
For more, I'm joined right now by Leon Panetta, former director of the CIA and former Secretary of Defense. Mr. Secretary, Mr. Director, what did you get out of the hearings today and what we should be worrying about as Americans?
I don't think there's any question that the most critical point made by Bob Mueller today, and it's obviously the subject of the report that they were discussing, but Bob Mueller made very clear that the Russians deliberately and systematically attacked our country during the 2016 election, and that they're continuing to attack our election systems in this country. This isn't a hoax. The president called it a hoax. Bob Mueller made very clear this is not a hoax. And what is the scariest thing of all, Chris, is the fact that this president has not acknowledged to the American people what the Russians did to our country, and as a matter of fact, has accepted Russian excuses for the fact that somehow they were not involved. That is, I think, a very dangerous combination of having the Russians continuing to attack our election systems, but more importantly, having a president who still, even today, called it a hoax. That's a dangerous combination for our national security.
Mr. Secretary, when you and I were growing up, the Republican Party took pride in being the party of national defense. They were the most anti-communist, the most serious about protecting our country from foreign dangers. When you watch them today, what did you make of their failure to have even a nationalistic sense of, damn it, we can't let somebody else do this to us again? It didn't seem like they had any kind of indignation at all about it. In fact, they were covering it up.
Chris, you and I were in the House of Representatives when Democrats and Republicans not only worked together, but Republicans were very strong on national defense and protecting our country, particularly from Russia. Yeah. To hear the Republicans today not strongly come out with regards to the attack that Russia made on this country and try to continue to excuse the president's activities here it's discouraging because, frankly, when it comes to our national security, this is not a partisan issue. This has to be an issue that both Democrats and Republicans are concerned about. We're facing an election again in 2020. People are going to run for office. The American people have a right to cast their vote knowing that it's not going to be interfered with from an adversary. Today, that is not the case. We are still looking at the Russians continuing to interfere in our election process. And I'll tell you what's worse. The Russians are getting a message from this president and this administration that it's okay to do that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.